Hi all, thank you so much for joining me on the mat today. I'm sweaty. I just got done with a series of postures that is all about opening the heart center, bringing the shoulders back, creating more space within our chest, as well as some grounding postures within our shoulders, our core, and our feet, of course, our stability. So I hope that you guys enjoy this. I piece these all together so you can practice them in your own flow and incorporate them throughout the day. If you're at the office, if you're traveling, like bring these postures into your day-to-day. This little series is meant to just showcase a few different poses that have really helped me during my travels, during my stresses, during breakups, during all the different things that life throws at us. I find it really empowering to get in touch with my heart space and my chest. And so a lot of these are power poses, and they're going to make you feel really, really good. Just make sure to always listen to your body, listen to yourself. You know what you need best, always. And these poses, I think for me are meant to remind me of that, because I'm traveling, I'm in a new place, it's beautiful, it's overwhelming, I'm meeting new people, I'm having new experiences with new people, and engaging in a new language that can be super, super challenging. And so sometimes I lose sight of my strengths and my own personal power, because it can be overshadowed by these other things that are somewhat, they're humbling, but in the moment you can feel a little defeated. So for me, this series of postures was put together because I want to remind myself, and of course you all, that we have all the power to self-love. And within self-love, we have the infinite opportunities to love those around us. Love the surroundings that we're in, love the situations that we find ourselves in, and embrace it with a humble, graceful, sarcastic attitude. Sometimes that's necessary. But no matter what, just own what you are capable of, and trust that you know what you're doing, even when you're in a situation that feels overwhelming. Those are the moments that I think we start to expand. So these are all centered around my experiences here in Guatapé, Colombia, and navigating a lot of new spaces and a lot of new feelings. So thank you for joining me, and namaste from Guatapé. We begin in a seated posture, and we're going to take a few minutes to connect with our breath and just spend a few meditative moments letting our breath be the guide, letting our thoughts take a back seat for this practice. Instead, reconnecting to our pranayamic life force. And with Ujjayi breath, which is also called ocean breath, we're going to practice filling the belly up with air, letting it expand. On an inhale. On an exhale, the breath washes out through us, rising through the chest, breathing out through the nose, and releasing toxins, releasing stale energy. And on an inhale, we welcome new oxygen in, and possibly an intention to welcome something new into our lives that we want to lean further into. As this practice is going to be a expansive and grounding practice, it's very powerful to set something in the back of our mind, right behind the breath, and let that guide us through practice today.
We don't need no truth, got plenty now, it grows on trees. God, I'm glad it's not a race I'd lose. There's no saint and there's no sinner, done more dirt than me. Another who can do more right than me. I need to find a paradise for me. Where we wanna
connecting with Ujjayi breath throughout this practice is going to give us the opportunity to receive, to surrender, to fill our body with fresh and replenished oxygen and air, while releasing those things that simply do not serve us. On an inhale, we fill the belly, feeling it rush throughout our entire body, feeling the breeze on our face, or feeling the air in the room settle in around us, feeling this space becoming our own sacred arena for the next 30 minutes. Exhale, let the breath wash out through you, mindfully, slowly, with that intention set behind the breath. On our next inhale, we're going to raise our arms up ahead and then come into prayer, hands at chest on an exhale. On another inhale, lift the arms high above, inviting in the new intention, inviting in the opportunity to focus on that intention while leading with the breath. On an exhale, we bow. We bow to the teachers before us, and we bow to the teacher within each of us. Namaste. Now we're going to move into a seated cat-cow posture or flow. And this is super powerful and such a good way to warm up our spine. And it's fairly simple. You just hold on to your knees, and in mindful movements, you want to move your chest to the front of the room in a rounded movement. And then when you come to the back of the room, round the spine, giving yourself a little stretch in the back, and then coming forward, leading with the chest. And make sure to inhale when moving the chest forward, offering new space to receive. And when you round the spine in the back, be conscientious of the exhale and the surrendering to those things that we cannot change. Then we move into a few side twists, so raising our hands high above us, and then we twist to the right side, rooting our right arm behind us with a straight spine, and we turn towards the right side of the room. We can rest our left hand on our knee for a little extra guided twist. Make sure to engage the Ujjayi breath, that full-bellied ocean breath, rooting us. Arms raise ahead, we switch sides, left arm rooting behind us with a straight spine. We look over the left shoulder, twisting to the opposite side of the room. Arms raise high above. We go to the right side again, maybe opening up a little bit deeper, finding length in the spine, finding strength in the core, and smiling. It makes everything better. Just a little smile. We can get so serious, even in our practices. It's just a practice. Arms lift high above and we twist to the opposite side. Taking a big breath in, and on an exhale, coming back to center. We move into a child's pose next, super restorative. It's a gentle pose that is amazing for the lower back, hips, and shoulders. When you're in child's pose with your arms outstretched in front of you, try to ground your hips to the mat behind you. Opening up space in the hips and the chest as we bring the head down to the mat. We find space in the shoulders and we reach with our arms. Moving on to our knees, we're going to bring our hands behind us for a bit of an outstretched camel pose, but with the extra support, so we're not coming to our ankles, which is traditional camel. Instead, we're coming behind us, so we can gently ease into camel later in the practice. Leading with our chest, our shoulders expanded wide, our hands root beneath us, and we push our chest up to the sky while our hands ground. And if we feel comfortable, we can lower our head behind us, finding even more length in the front body. And focusing on our Ujjayi breath once again. Even in these outstretched back bends, find that powerful breath. Coming back into child's pose for a counteract of the back bend. We stretch out the arms, root the hips down to the mat. And then we make our way into downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Pedaling out the legs behind us, bending one knee in and then the other. Hollowing out the armpits here, making sure our chest isn't collapsing. We want to find a nice balance between the two, the opposing forces in this inverted pose. And of course, finding our breath in between the stretch. After a few long, deep breaths here, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, we're going to lift the left leg high into the sky, keeping our hips leveled. Switching legs, right leg high into the sky with our toes flexed and engaged. Coming back to downward dog. Raising the opposite leg. Now we're going to take a twist here. So with our right arm, we're going to reach to our left shin, or if we can grab the back of our calf or the back of our ankle, and we twist looking under the opposite armpit, finding expansion in the chest here while engaging and lengthening the legs. We switch sides here, reaching for the opposite ankle with the opposite arm, looking under the armpit with a soft gaze. And then we lift the left leg, bending the knee, bringing the left knee to the right elbow. And then we take our left knee to our left elbow. bringing the leg back high into the sky behind us. And then we bring our knee to nose and switching legs here. Right leg soars high to the sky with our hips staying leveled, bending into the knee, bringing that knee to the opposite elbow, and then raising to the back of the room, bending into the knee, and going to the same elbow. Bringing that leg back up. And then we bring our knee to nose, and then we release the posture and pedal out the legs for a moment here. Feel the length happening moment by moment within the spine and the hips and the arms. Coming into child's pose, we ground those hips behind us, tapping into our breath. And we move into a child's pose, chest opener, with our hips raised above us. So our thighs are perpendicular to the ground. Our arms are outstretched in the same direction as they would be in child's pose. And our head comes down to the mat if it's comfortable. And if we feel so inclined, we can bend the elbows, and with prayer hands, we bring them up above our head, and our chin can rest on the mat. This is extremely expansive and fairly challenging. So do what feels right for you. This is opening and stretching the hip flexors that can be so tight, and it's making space within our chest, within the space between our shoulders and our neck, and where our vulnerability lies in the chest, and where our opportunities are found. When we are more open and ready to receive, amazing things can happen. Raising the hips into downward facing dog. Taking a few moments here. And when we're ready, we're going to step into a forearm plank. So we have our forearms on the ground, rooted perpendicular to the mat. We're on the balls of our feet, and we take a few moments with our belly button tucked in, our hips dropped for a straight spine, and we hold this for a few moments. When you're ready, you can come down to upward facing dog. Taking your time here as it's our first one. And then bending back down to the ground, touching the mat with your forehead. And then raising when you're ready, straightening those arms if that feels right. Finding even more expansion here within the chest, within the heart center. Coming back down to the ground, and then raising our hips into downward dog. We bring our left foot forward in between the hands. We drop the back knee, and we find ourselves in a crescent low lunge. With our hands raised above us, we look up towards the sky, and we bring our chest to meet the sky. So we're not necessarily leading with our hips, but with our chest here. So our hips remain neutral and our chest opens high above us. We can come forward, planting our hands, framing the foot, coming into downward dog, switching feet, left leg, right leg forward. Drop the back knee, lean into that front knee. Hips are neutral, hands raise high above, and we take a small back bend here, opening up to the sky, to the ceiling, to the possibilities above us, and taking a big breath in. And on an exhale, we lower, framing the foot, coming into downward facing dog. We're going to step into a posture that we've done before. So we come onto our knees and our hands plant beneath our shoulders behind us. So you're in what looks like camel, but instead of being on your heels, you're further back, about 2 handprints behind your feet. And hopefully you can feel a little bit more space here with the movements that we've created so far. You should feel just a bit more open and really engaging in the breath when you're in this posture. That is your most powerful tool. Release the pose and come down to your knees, come down to your hands, and find yourself in child's pose but with raised hips, bringing your forehead or your chin down to the mat. Palms can come together above your head. And breathe into the intensity and the expansivity of this posture. Now we are going to step into camel. So coming to our knees, and then with our hands supported on our lower back, planted right above the butt, we are going to send our hips forward and our chest back, slowly and mindfully with breath leading us always. And we're going to find our ankles with our hands. So our arms are perpendicular to the mat, parallel to our thighs, and our chest is wide open with our head bent ever so slightly back. Now take your time here. You can stay here for a longer moment or release the posture and come into child's pose to counteract the back bend. Now coming to our back, we're going to step into a supported bridge pose. Bridge is a really nice, necessary segue into wheel or upward bow pose. And it creates length in the lower back, lengthens the hip flexors, opens the chest. And it's really important to make sure we're using the strength in our legs here and not depending on our lower back, or else we're going to discover a little bit of discomfort here. So while we're on our backs, we're going to reach our arms onto the ground, and we want to make sure we can feel just the backs of our heels here. We don't want to be able to, we shouldn't be able to wrap our hands around our feet. We just want to graze the backs of our ankles. And then when we're ready, with an inhale, bringing our hips into the sky. Don't overdo it here. Just softly raise the hips. If you want, clasp the hands beneath you and walk the shoulders in. And on an exhale, lower back down to the ground, releasing the hands, releasing the chin from the chest. Taking a breath here, On your next inhale, clasp your hands beneath and raise your hips. See if you can take this a little bit further. Using the strength in those quads. And on an exhale, release the posture, bringing our knees to chest and our chin to chest. Our next movement is wheel pose. So in the same setup as bridge, but we're going to plant our hands behind us. And when we're ready, we're going to raise our hips with our chest leading to the back of the room. So instead of the chest facing up towards the sky, you're going to be leaning a little bit more back and pushing up with the arms, finding that strength in the upper body, paired with the strength in the legs, dropping the head beneath you. And I like to play here a little bit. I like to walk my feet out in front a little bit so I find length in the legs and even more expansion in the chest. And you can practice your balance by lifting one leg with a bent knee and then the other. Beautiful. This pose is extremely energizing. It stretches the front of the body, including all the organs in the front of the body, and it really wakes you up. And for me, it's a very powerful pose. Even though it's challenging and it's very hard to take those deep, big belly breaths here, it is such a powerful pose and one that we can have a lot of fun experimenting with. When you're ready to release the posture, walk your feet closer in, lowering the arms first and then bringing the hips down to the ground. Now we can make our way into downward dog. We're going to take a few moments to just do some forward folds here. So with our feet close together or a few fists width apart, we glance up with our fingers planted in front of us and then bringing our knee to nose with a forward fold, feeling all that length and space that we've created in the chest, in the spine, in the backs of the legs. Glancing halfway up, walking the hands into the feet, knees to nose, taking a big breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. We can clasp the elbows here and swing a little bit and let the head hang. Plant the hands beneath us, looking halfway up, and then we forward fold, even deeper this time. Glancing halfway up, we rise with a flat back, hands come overhead, and we'll spend a few moments here just grounding into our feet, finding that support in our legs with a long spine, our belly button sucked in, our shoulders back and down, our throat back, our gaze forward, and we feel the power and the stability in our standing mountain pose. Our next pose, my very favorite dancer's pose, or Lord of the Dance, is such a wonderful balancing standing pose. We start with bringing whichever leg we choose, right or left, wherever you're at, and we reach for the back of the foot. And the key here is to actively lift the pelvis towards the navel while pressing the tailbone towards the floor and pushing the top of the foot into the hand. So we're actually leading with the strength of our leg instead of just kind of bending into that lower back. And that way our body lifts gracefully and organically into a standing balance, into this beautiful, expressive dancer's posture. We can bring the opposite arm up in front of us, parallel to the mat. And when we're ready to take our gaze from the floor up to the front of the room, we can find stability and trust in that standing leg. And take a breath here, and when you're ready to exhale, release the posture, and we're going to switch sides. And this is going to be a very, it's going to be expressed differently in every body. That's what I've noticed, which is why I love it. Everybody looks a little different here. And you just want to find your flexibility and enjoy it. You know, you're flying here. You're supported on one leg and you're soaring. So as you lift the opposite leg, as your gaze reaches higher and that back arm is extended fully, grasping your back foot as you reach that leg just a little higher, remember your intention and what you're inviting into this class today. On an exhale, release the posture. And we're going to step into Trikonasana, triangle pose. So with our feet set up in Warrior 3, with a heel to arch alignment, we're going to send our left hip to the back of the room, reaching with the left arm, bringing our left arm down to the foot or to the ankle for support. And if you're so inclined and you feel comfortable, raise the right arm high above and look up at that floating arm. Flex the fingers, engage the legs, and take a breath here. When you're ready, switch sides, raising the arms above, rotating the feet to the opposite side of the room, heel to arch alignment. You can widen or shorten the stance for however your needs are. And then reaching with the right arm forward, sending the right hip back, and then lowering the right arm, rooting to the ground, to the ankle, to the shin, and sending that left arm soaring high above, glancing up if that feels comfortable. And smiling, always taking time for a little smile and saying thanks for what we've created, what we continue to create. Our next posture flow is going to be a few supine twists. There's a few ways we can do this. We'll start by laying down on our backs, bringing our right knee into our chest, and then crossing that knee to the opposite side of the room, stacking our hips on the ground, and then bringing our arms wide and looking over the opposite arm. So you feel that whole body being twisted open, but in a very gentle and supported way. The knee should be on the ground supporting you. If you need to bring the knee over to that same side of the body, feel free to. And always start with the right side of the body with the supine twist. For digestion purposes, this is the healthiest option. And spend a few breaths here, letting your body and gravity do what it does best, and enjoy being supported. We switch sides here, bringing the opposite knee to chest, crossing over the body, stacking the hips, arms are wide, and we glance over the opposite side of the body. So our head is glancing in the opposite direction of where our hips are twisting. So we get that full body rotation from our head to our toes. And then centering ourselves with the breath. Even in these deep twists, finding our breath. And now I'm just going to show you a few other ways to do this, to deepen this supine twist, and to also make it a little bit easier. So, another option is to bend both knees into the chest and then drop them to the side. The next option is to pretzel the legs, cross one over the other, linking the one ankle around the next and dropping to the side. That's the deepest twist you can get here. And it's really, really wonderful, but it's something you have to lead up to, a little gradual. So, with that being said, choose your supine twist of preference and spend a few moments here. We're getting ready for our final resting pose. So just enjoy the wind down. Now, for one of my all time favorite postures, we're going to step into legs up the wall. Very straightforward. It's exactly what it sounds like. So, it's a fully relaxed posture and completely supported. So, what you want to do is find a wall high enough for your legs to be supported by. You can scoot your butt all the way up to the wall. So, you're sitting like right next to the wall, parallel. And then when you're ready, swing your legs above, lay down on the floor. You can take a blanket and put that under your lower back if you need a little extra support here, or roll your mat up. With cactus arms, we're going to release and fully surrender. Legs up the wall is so essential for our bodies to undo all of that standing that we do and all of that pressure that we put on our legs. So it moves fluids through the legs, through the body, fresh blood, and it also cools the nervous system. In this posture, I like to experiment with a little flexibility here. So sometimes I'll bring my feet together and my knees wide, and then just hang out. Once you find a posture that feels really restorative and relaxing, take it all the way. Just let it be. If you want to get a little extra stretch here, if you're feeling like you need it, you can grab onto the bottom of one of your feet and bend the knee in, flexing it out. So bent knee and then straight leg. And then when you're ready, you can set it against the wall and then do that to the opposite side. And this can help you find some flexibility in your split. Posture is absolutely wonderful to take Shavasana in. So if you guys want to set a little timer or whatever you need to kind of set some time for yourself to stay here, you can do that now. And spend 5 minutes, or if you're really feeling it, spend 10 minutes with the legs up the wall, with the arms cactus to the side, with the eyes closed, with the lights down low, and really just enjoy all that intense power posing that we just did, and let this all integrate into the body and let that intention settle in. When you come back from practice, when you start to wake up the body, you are feeling connected to the intention, to your breath, and to this day. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste.